7 o'clock, top of the hour. Let's get started with our meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Cody, roll call, please.
Supervisor Gunning?
Here.
Treasurer Rice? Here. Trustee Hauk?
Here.
Trustee Micus?
Here.
Trustee Worley?
Here.
Clerk Cody here. Trustee Lannon is excused.
All right, that brings us to item 4, which is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as it is? Do we have any additions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion second, discussion. Seeing none, we'll take that up to vote. This will be to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to item 7, and this is going to be public comment restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda. This is an opportunity for comments only. Questions of the board will not be answered at this time. Would anybody like to come forward for public comment? Seeing none, we close public comment and we move to item 8. Reports and board comments. We'll take care of item A first, which is Planning Commission. We do have 3 commissioners whose terms have expired. All 3 of those commissioners have all given us new applications for a continued term, and this term is for 3 years. And so these terms will be expiring, what, 2/13?
2/14.
Yep, yep. We go by the expiration dates,
Right.
yeah. So 2/15, and this would be what, 20? What is it, Norm?
2022.
2022. There you
got
go.
it.
All
Yeah.
right. I knew it was in the 20s somewhere. I can't bring myself to say 2020 something. So, all right. So the first planning commissioner who is up for renomination for a new term would be Doug LaBelle. This would be Doug's second term. Having watched a lot of the meetings, sat in the audience, Doug is a very level-headed, very common sense driven, but also understands the ordinances, understands the master plan. I think he's worked out very well on the Planning Commission, so I would like to renominate him for another 3-year term.
I'd make a motion that we approve the nomination of Doug LaBelle, the number 2, for another 3-year term on the Planning Commission, with a term to expire on 2/15/2022.
I'll second it.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on Mr. LaBelle?
And I think he's another good appointee. He's done a great job on the Planning Commission. I think Doug brings in a nice perspective in terms of, as a landlord and as a developer, to mesh with some of the other individuals on the board to look for the growth of the community and looking at how that fits into the master plan, zoning ordinances, and especially the fact that the zoning ordinances are now going to be up for review, or actually an extensive maybe a revamp. It's nice to see the continuity of this particular applicant to continue on. So I certainly support Doug.
Right.
Yes, Ben, if I might, playing off what Norm said, the continuity of his experience is going to be handy and good for the community going forward. I like his point of view on his application. He wants to make a difference in the community that he lives and works in, and that's, we share. I think we all share that. We want the community to be we want to make a difference in the community. So I support Doug.
Further discussion? All right, at this time, let's bring his nomination up for vote for affirmation. And this would be to appoint Doug LaBelle for a 3-year term expiring 2/15/2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. LaBelle is appointed for another 3-year term. Next planning commissioner up for renomination would be Michael Darren. Mike is again going into his second term. He filled a void in the last time around. Again, has a great resume from the standpoint of the construction management industry, understands, you know, project managing, can read a blueprint. You know, I think that's really important on the Planning Commission, is understanding how to look at a blueprint and see it. So I would like to renominate him for a 3-year term, and this would again be 2/15 to 2022 expiration.
I'll make a motion to re-up Mike Darren to be on the Planning Commission for a term ending 2/15/22.
Second.
Okay, discussion on Mr. Darren?
I just want to reiterate, I think having worked with Mike on the Planning Commission previously, you know, he always comes well prepared. He's very knowledgeable of the master plan, the zoning ordinances. But what I really like about Mike is that he's willing to take a stand on very hard issues.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is very tough when you're under scrutiny and lots of crowds come in and there's a lot of diverse opinion about what should be done. He's willing to stick with what he believes in and base it on the facts of the matter. So I really respect that. So he's a great nominee.
I agree with Norm. He's done a great job on the zoning board, or on the Planning Commission. And I know Norm and I are with him on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and he was always well prepared. So I think Mike does a good job.
Anybody else? All right, so at this point in time, we'll bring this up to vote. This would be to bring Mike Darren's nomination forward, an affirmation for a 3-year term. This would be expiring 2/15 of 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mike Darren is appointed for another 3-year term. Next planning commissioner up would be Ryan Buckley. You know, I think what's really important on this is different viewpoints, and I think Ryan brings that in to the mix. I like his pedigree from the standpoint of his background and master's degree in public administration. I think he understands zoning. I think that continuity, as you gentlemen had mentioned and ladies and gentlemen had mentioned, is really important in this as we go into the zoning rewrite, ordinance rewrite. And I was very impressed with the way that this board performed when we had the special use permit here a little while back. I think that that whole board was incredibly impressive. I thought they all brought really good viewpoints forward, and that was a really, you know, pressure-filled room. And I think they did a fabulous job of handling the pressure. So I would like to renominate Mr. Buckley for a 3-year term. This would be again expiring 2/15 of 2022.
I would make a motion to support the appointment of Ryan Buckley to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term to expire on 2/15/2022.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Again, I think he's another great person, another great member on the Planning Commission. You know, having worked with Ryan on the PC when I was on there. Very bright, he's very knowledgeable. He really knows the master plan, he knows the zoning ordinances, he knows the future land use, he sticks to the facts. His decisions are always evidence-based and fact-driven, and I think that that's real important. And he's also willing to hold the line on difficult decisions, and it's not always easy when you're up in that position, so I respect him. I think he's a good nominee.
My only opposition is there's 4 full-time CMU people out of the 9, and really one of them on that board is appointed by us, so half of that board are full-time CMU staff. And 2 years ago, when we had 4 developers on, we said, nope, we're not going to have 4 developers anymore. It's too many people from one industry. So that's my only position. I mean, I just think 4 full-time people that are employed by the same employer, I don't agree with it.
I hear what you're saying, Bill, and I respect your
You know,
opinion.
and I think Ryan does a good job, but like I said, there's still 4 of them.
Yeah. I think what you're right about is the fact that we, hopefully we can get more diversity on the board in terms of the applicants. I think what I was looking at for this time round was having continuation and continuity of the board because they've already begun to start with the zoning ordinances. All of them have been familiar with the master plan and its development. And I just think that the learning curve is kind of high for someone to come in right now and start fresh from this. So, but I agree. I think that Bill's brought this up before, and maybe whether we encourage more applicants or whatever it is, how we get more people to come in, would be good just to have that diversity. So it's more broad based, and I think what you're saying, it feels like more narrow in terms of the.
Well, we have an opportunity next year.
Yep.
2 of the 3 that are up next year are CMU, for full-time CMU employees. So maybe we could change one of those next year. I mean, I'm not saying we have to,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think it's all about, the pool of applicants, and I agree with Norm when I was looking at it. I think that particularly where they're at, where they're starting with the zoning rewrite, the continuity thing really was important, I thought. The Planning Commission meeting here where they did the SUP at the Commission on Aging, I solidified my thought process. But I think the next time through, we've got 3, and yeah, I mean, but now is the time for start. I got Corning stand shingles in the soup pile at Kroger's until he submitted to me. I might have to do something of the same nature.
I just wish we could get more applicants, more people involved. And
Exactly.
it's a hard thing for people to put in the time and the commitment that's required to do the due diligence, and especially the Planning Commission, because you're shaping the not only immediate, but you're shaping for the next 5-10 years out in terms of what develops in the township. So it is a very responsible and at times a very difficult position, But I would like to see more people perhaps be encouraged, and maybe that's something we can be considering for the next time round for the next.
we need someone rural. We need someone that owns land, that's a farmer. I mean, we have none of that. We haven't had a farmer on it in quite a few years.
Yeah.
The last one I can remember was Jim Wilson.
All right.
I'd like to get a little bit more diversity in the geography.
Yeah.
And that's the next thing that we want to really kind of focus on. But right now, let's go ahead, and we do have a motion and a second on Mr. Buckley. Do we have any further discussion on Mr. Buckley at all? All right. So this would be to move from a nomination to affirmation of Ryan Buckley for a 3-year term. This would be expiring 2/15 of 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We have 1 opposition vote. Motion does carry. Mr. Buckley has got his seat for the next 3 years. And then, like I said, we can start beating the bushes a little bit and start talking to people and, getting some applications in. On our other boards, too. I mean, we've still got a ZBA position we still have to fill in the alternate seat. So, and we haven't had anybody for that. So, again, start looking for some people for that opportunity. And more board opportunities. I think we have an alternate 1 position that is expired right now, actually. Mary Beth Orr on the Board of Review. So we do need to get an alternate there also. All right. Let's move on to our next item here, and this would be board reports. Phil, did you have any meetings at all with sustainability or sidewalk?
Yeah, I do believe I reported on the most recent Sustainability Committee meeting at a recent meeting. The Sidewalk Committee for this month postponed their meeting for the month due to schedule conflicts, and we'll have it first Monday in March. We did set a schedule of the first Monday of each month going forward.
Thanks, Bill. Bill?
Went to a road commission meeting the 24th of January. They approved a new bridge to be put in on Wademan Road, just east of Mission Road. They also had Apex Wind Energy there, and they were talking about the project that they're going to do. The County Planning Commission passed the night after that, or when? No, it wasn't. What was it?
I think you're right.
We had a meeting that night, didn't we? Or whatever. It was a Thursday night. I can't remember what night it was. Thursday, like January.
It was after our meeting. when they-
5th or
when they
whatever,
met.
I can't remember. But anyways, they talked about their project, and they can put up to 175 turbines in. Right now, they're only gonna do 120. They talked about how they're gonna go across roads. If there's a paved road, they're gonna bore under it. If it's a gravel road, for their lines, they're gonna go through the road, and then they'll fix the roads. They hope to get started in June or July, and then they hope to have the turbines up and running in 2020. Then they also talked about their new building a little bit, talking about staying in their current location, and it'd be a 2-year time phase that they'd be, before they'd be in the new building, they figure. If they get started on it with, they had to go to the zoning board of appeals here, last week? To, whatever happened with that, I never heard.
You know, I don't know the outcome of that. They were in front of the ZBA for a text interpretation to solidify whether or not their operation is allowed to exist in a B5. They currently are in a B5, and they just wanted to get that buttoned down. But my meeting with Peter today was rescheduled, so I don't know the outcome of that.
All right. Well, they're talking about building in behind where they're at now, and then eventually the old building would get torn down. They said they wouldn't mind getting a little bit more land, but they don't know where they'll get it. They're still going to keep the old Carter lumber building too. So, that's it.
It'll be interesting as it moves forward. Thank you, Bill.
Just by way of update, the ZBA did approve that as an allowed use. They
Okay.
interpreted the text as
I have
their
a copy.
operation, administrative and operationally is permitted or allowed use there.
Thanks, Jim.
Kim, the big day's coming up.
Yes,
It's like
tomorrow.
Christmas for you, right?
Not for me, but
Sort of, kind of.
taxes, yep, due tomorrow.
Yep.
So, you know, obviously we don't accept postage. So, you know,
The post date.
the post date. So, has to be here, paid, or in the mail slot on the side of the building by tomorrow. Otherwise, fees will be
Is there a cutoff
accrued.
point for the mail slot?
by
Somebody came here at 7:30 tomorrow
by
night,
the
or is it
time
just-
nope by
just
the time she
midnight?
pulls the mail out that next morning.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it has to be in that slot before we open up,
Okay.
and
We're
she pulls
spreading
it.
the love on Love Day, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have it already paid. So you know, but so just in paid by then, and then if you haven't, you'll be getting mail from me. So.
All right.
And it can be paid online, so just reiterate that there are fees involved with that, but you can go to our website, go to the bill pay, look it up, and actually pay online as well, so.
Okay, so we have the electronic option then, too?
Yes.
So it doesn't
Yes.
have to be necessarily cash or a check?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's cool.
So,
So that they don't have to be running in here panting and throwing it down. the
right,
license.
right,
So that's
right.
good.
So,
That avoids a heart attack, at least for some.
hopefully, yeah.
Is there like past history where maybe 30% of the people pay the last day, or, I mean, is there any kind of
I'm
history?
I'm sure Jennifer could tell you.
Mm-hmm.
She has to input all those, but it's usually pretty busy.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there's past history.
The first week and the last week, I think, right? Yeah. So,
There's about 400 bills yet to be paid.
yeah.
And I
So-
think we have 3,000-ish.
I think it's a little over that, but yeah. So,
Yeah, well, adds to the excitement, right?
25%.
There you go. It's like Black Friday. All right, Norm.
I have nothing to report tonight.
All right, Lisa? Planning Commission, anything like that? Nope. All right, city meetings? Nope, nothing? Okay.
I think it got canceled last time, right?
Yeah.
Because of the weather.
And I have nothing at this point until EDA. So we close item 8, move to item 9. This is going to be the consent agenda. We'll need to have a motion on that.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And with that, it's always redundant, but how was our accounts payable and the checks and bill pays and all that? Who had that duty this time?
I don't know who did that this time.
I don't know.
I can look.
For
Must have
February.
That's a
been
quandary.
Tim's. He's absent today.
For
Can you call him up
February.
and ask him? I'm not sure if there
It
was
was
an
Tim
issue. He
Cerny.
probably
I'm not
would've-
sure it's on the box.
I believe Treasurer Rice reviewed them when she was signing them.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
But, yeah, they looked good when I was signing them, so,
All right.
I'm looking. Okay, yeah, Tim. So-
There was one typo on the special meeting minutes, second page. Instead of fees, it has delees. Third line down, if at the Cody moved, Mike is supported, Township to cover up to 10,000 legal expenses. Third line, if insurance covers legal, it should be a F rather than a G. Other than that, just a little thing, typo thing. Other than that, everything looked good.
All right. Any other discussion on consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll take that to vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda with the typo changes that Mr. Worley had mentioned, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is passed. We move to item 10. This will be new business. The first item is going to be to award the bid for the purchase of office furniture for the Public Service Department administrative offices at the Isabella Treatment Facility to Custom Office Systems. Mark, can you lead this in?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. The amount of the recommended bid to award to Custom Office Systems is $13,512. This would provide for furnishings, which would include desks, chairs, side chairs, file cabinets, and installation for the remodeled office space that's, and it's further outlined the details on page 35 of your agenda pack. 3 bids were received. The low responsive bidder was Custom Office Systems. Funds were included in the approved FY19 budget. And just a little bit of update on the progress. The most recent progress meeting for the remodeling was held February 7th. What I would describe as the main construction has been completed. Ceiling tiles and final painting have been completed. Still waiting on the flooring, which is carpeting and tile to be installed. Anticipate moving in the first part of April. Looks nice, and if you get a chance, stop by and take a look at it. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I was looking at the bids, and I found one thing that just offhand, then I pulled my phone out and added it up, and it's, so the quotations from custom office systems is actually, when you add the three together, is $450 higher than what we're asked to approve. I just was questioning why that is. I see that there was an upcharge for non-standard laminate, but it's in the quotation, but yet the number that we're asked to approve is $450 lower.
So you ran tape on this column of numbers?
Well, I took the bottom numbers on each page, just added the three together, and it comes up $450
Of the
different.
quotation, you've got the bottom number.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ben's right, because 31 and the 43 would come to 74, and then if you had the last one, 64, so that would be 74, so it'd be 13, 4, so it's about 450 more.
It's
Yeah, I
the
think
cost of the
yeah.
non-standard laminate.
Yeah, if you add
So-
them all together, you're right.
Yeah, and so that would actually put space as the low
Oh,
bid.
so that.
But then that was just question number one. Question number two is I was going through all the bids, and
Add these up.
was there a spec that we gave each of these companies as far as how many chairs we wanted? Because like some of these have, one has more chairs, the others have less. Then you have some chairs that are $200, and then some of them have $600 chairs. And are they all the same?
They're all similar. They all it's kind of hard to spec an office chair. We set up, not the lowest chair you have, but kind of a mid-grade chair. We kind of showed them what we already had,
Mhm.
and then asked them to do something similar to what we already, similar chairs to what we already have.
And then I noticed that on the one bid here too, we have 10 chairs that go into the Township Hall small conference room.
And that is not included in this.
That's not included in the
In
number. And
this.
the other thing is there was also a table listed on custom office systems that it would be added in the bottom number, but it's not included in the 13 because those are not being paid.
Well, I mean, the three, if the numbers add up to what you're asking for, except short for 450.
Right.
But this total on the bottom is actually correct. So the $1,400 is part of the $6,450. But I just was, that one, and I couldn't find that equal amount of chairs in the other two bids, which kind of threw me off too.
Well, if you total the three sheets, it comes
Yeah.
to 13,962, which would be exactly 450 more than the bid that we're approving. And it looks where it's coming, there's the upcharge on page 1 for 150 for the standard laminate, and then the one and an upcharge for the non-standard laminate on page 2, which is 300. There's your 450. So I don't know if that somehow inadvertently didn't get added into the final total, but the final total, but the three final totals should be 13,962.
Right.
And where the 450 might come from, I believe, is from the two upcharges.
I didn't run a tape on his
Yeah.
numbers down. I assumed that he included that in his
Gotcha.
bottom number, and maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I
But
don't
then
think
we've
it
got the
was.
10 chairs here too for the small conference room that are also in this bid.
Right, but they're not listed on the spreadsheet.
Mhm.
The overall spreadsheet that should have been in there, that was not listed on.
But the total's correct though.
It's not.
So you're still asking for the 13,512, so we're short the 450. So the only thing that looks like that's not on the spreadsheet is just the upcharge for the
The
laminate.
laminate,
Right.
So we've got the 10 office chairs that are in there too. So I guess I'm really confused on what we're actually approving.
Tonight you're approving just what's on the spreadsheet, and I do think I made an error and didn't include the upcharge for the laminate. We're not asking you to approve.
So, well, that's $1,400 though, the 10 chairs. So that means that the quotation would actually be $1,400 lower.
No, I backed that number out. When I did the spreadsheet, those chairs are not included in that.
Right. Would it be a difference, though, that now that that the price actually comes to 13,962, would that still have them be the low bid, or does that put Space Incorporate as the low bid then? Because they're at 13,670.
Space would be the lower bid for the furniture, but it wouldn't be the upgraded laminate. And the furniture that we're looking at from Custom is the same furniture we have in the Township Hall.
Right.
And I think the furniture is a little bit nicer than.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, this would still be the low bid, is what you're saying, because what's not factored in then to Space either is the 450 laminate.
No, that's not either.
You know what I'm saying? So if you add the 450 to that, that still makes them second bid, secondly bid.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if you did an upcharge laminate on that bid, then they would have a charge for that as well.
Right. But should the motion then be for the 13,962, including the 2 upcharges for the laminate versus what's being requested for the 13,512?
It should be, yes.
You know,
I apologize for the error. I didn't
sorry.
have that tape done.
Yeah. So I think that's what we should, the bid should be, we should make the motion including the adjusted fee, the 450. Does that make sense to everyone?
Sure does, and so that I would make a motion that we award the bid for the purchase of office furniture for the Public Service Department Administrative Office at the Isabella Treatment Facility to Custom Office Systems in the amount of $13,962.
Support.
Okay, move to discussion. My first discussion is I'm adding up the numbers on this as we speak, and we're still off. If the 10 chairs for this, if the 10 chairs are off for this room, plus the 450, we're still 1,400. I don't get it.
What are you looking at? Let me see. I'm good
Well,
at
if you
numbers.
just take that last page and just add up the totals, it's a correct total on the bottom.
So you're saying that this third page is the one that you're talking about?
Yeah.
And what is it? Oh, it's because you see the 14 there, and you're saying that 14 is included in that bottom line total, or not?
It's included, but it's also included in the number on the spreadsheet, less the 450.
Let me take a look at the spreadsheet.
So if you add the 450 for the laminate, then we're at 13,962.
250 makes.
I just don't see that in any of the other bids, because I looked at the chairs and
This one with that.
don't see that number of chairs in there.
Right? This one's wrong. I don't know how, but it's wrong, like
Off by 40.
40. But the total is 12,602. And
Which-
that's with the installation.
Which
fee.
one is, where's the spreadsheet? I want to look at that, too. Is that yours?
Yeah. It should be right in front of it, too, isn't it? Right on the back.
Let me see something here.
Well, I know while you're talking about that, I've got a question on this whole project. In 2017, we approved a budget to do this project for 2018 of $75,000. According to everything I've added up, we've got $225,780 into it. And how I come up with those figures is, so far our revised estimated cost, our original estimated cost was $158,797. So far, we've had $28,733 in overages, which brings it to $187,530. We also approved $28,000 to remove the tank, the filter tank, whatever, and replace the roof. We also had $10,250 we approved for electrical upgrades. And I don't know if when we replace the roof, if that $28,000 includes all the work that our employees did replacing the roof. They replaced the roof deck, from what I understand, talking to the general contractor, which some of it had to be redone. My whole deal is we approved $75,000 back in 2017 for 2018. Where's all this coming from? I mean, if you add up what I've added up today, I come up with 225,000. If I would have known back in 2017 that a $75,000 project was going to turn into a $225,000 project, I sure as hell wouldn't have voted for it. Why wasn't the furniture included in it back then? You know, I mean, we knew we were going to need furniture. This whole project is not right. I mean, we should have gotten, we have a construction board of appeals that has Andy Tyson, part owner of Konwinski Construction, Rick Jakubiak, who had an electrical business for 30 years in Mount Pleasant, Colin Heron, who owns owns Greenwald, BC. There's 3 people that we have on a board that we could have taken this project to. They would have went over there. We could have said, okay, here's what we want to do. These guys wouldn't have charged a thing. They could have came up with an estimate between them. And I'm assuming it probably would have been around a $200,000 estimate. But we approved a $75,000 deal. Now we're at well over $200,000. And like I said, I don't have any idea whether this $28,000 included our employees or the materials to fix the roof. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. How many of you guys sitting here right now think that, you know, back in 2017, December of 2017, when we went through the budget, and I got it right here, it says, old plant area office, or remodel old plant area office, and this is in the water department, $75,000. You know, and then, I don't know, I'm just confused about this whole thing. It's not right.
I had, excuse me one second, Norm, I'll let you talk. I remember too that back in, I think, April or May, that Trustee Hauk, when he was going through the bills, had mentioned his dismay at the water plant gentleman going to Home Depot.
5 trips.
5 trips for building materials. So the question I have is, I look at the timeline on this, and we brought this up from a while back, and I had the question answered to me was the $3,850 that we were asking, that was asked for structural engineering, it turns out was engineer drawings. So how do we ask for engineer drawings, which were a prerequisite for a commercial building project, 6 months after the roof was torn out, the employees did the framing, but also that we paid for a roof from this Otter Skin flat roof company of $4,800, which I'm assuming ended up getting removed because you're not going to change the framework on the roof without taking the membrane off. So I'm looking at that being a waste, so that increases the cost by $4,800 at least. But then we also have the work done on the framework, how much of that lumber was salvageable. You have time involved for the contractor to remove that, reinstall, but then we're looking at the big thing is that who in the heck did the work to begin with, and why wasn't it permitted? I mean, aren't we supposed to be the overseer, the one that ensures that state building codes are being enforced? And what I don't like about this is that means that potentially we were a violator. And that is ludicrous in my mind, that we would be a violator of a code that we're supposed to enforce. Norm.
Well, why don't we, I was going to say something, but maybe it'd be helpful if Mark or Kim want to respond to all this, because there's, you know, a lot of numbers being thrown out and stuff like that, and there's discrepancies in terms of this particular bid. Is that something we can get more information? Or the other thing is, should we put this on hold and maybe get the information so we know what altogether is changed, or, you know, what are we going to say, Phil?
Can I just correct one thing quick? I overlooked this. The electrical upgrade was included in this. Okay. So that estimate that I said of $225,000 should be $10,000 less.
Okay.
So.
Phil, yes.
My comments are that, and I have a few things to say, that we have a motion on the floor regarding the furniture, and we should really keep our discussion to the motion. I think it's really important that we discuss the other issues that Trustee Hauk brought up. And I think we should do that after we fulfill this action that we have a motion for on the floor now.
Okay.
And the reason I say that it's fair and right to proceed with the purchase of furniture is that the project is virtually completed. I mean, we're in the point where we're putting furniture and flooring into the building, and you don't do that when there's not a roof or the walls, or it's not the time to do that. So I think it's the time now for us to support the investment that we've made up to this point in time. And I will also recognize that, yes, indeed, several months ago, back in the 2017 fiscal year, we approved in the budget an estimate, a kind of like a windshield view of what we think the project might cost. Well, lo and behold, reality sunk in, and reality occurred that it was going to cost more. And I hear Trustee Hauk today pointing out that if we did call on 3 in-house resources, members of the community who also serve on boards or commissions for the township, the cost estimate would probably be $200,000. So we're not that far off. I recognize the concerns, but let's take care of this.
The wool was pulled over my
Fine-ish
eyes,
thing.
I'm going to tell you that much.
And let's address that after we take care of this motion to buy the furniture.
I agree with that. I mean, we're at the point where, I mean, we need to focus on, right now, it's furniture. Whether we're over or under, you know, that's something we need to discuss, but not right now. Right now, we need to look at furniture. We're almost there. We're almost completed with this. Sometimes when you do a project, something comes up, and you're like, oh, there's an extra expense, things like that. But right now, we're not talking about that part. We're talking about furniture. So I agree with that one.
Ben,
Okay, my only,
Ben,
yes?
I've had my arm.
Yep, I'm sorry.
But I don't feel comfortable voting on something that has this many problems with it, because I mean, I got 12,000 in totals. I mean, it has a lot of, even taking out the, you know, the chairs for the thing, it's 12,602 is what I got, and I added it 3 times. So I mean, there's
Taking out the 14.
I mean, I even tried to add in a 6% sales tax, and the numbers still don't add up. So I need it to be.
Yeah, Lisa, I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's way off.
You know, and I made the motion to approve this when there was some question about $500 here, and you're coming up with a couple $1,000 difference. My point is that with our action tonight, we're directing the manager and the staff to buy the furniture, essentially not to exceed that amount. They're going to only pay for the materials that we get at the right price. And that's why I'm comfortable with doing it, so it can move forward. But, you know, if the board chooses to not take this step and wait a few more weeks till our next meeting, so it goes.
Phil, what would be your motion in terms of the?
As I stated it.
The bid in terms of the original bid that's on the original bid, the 13,512.
Yeah, it's to award the bid for purchase, but by our action tonight to make the motion to award the bid for purchase doesn't necessarily mean that that we're gonna, one, get it for 13,512, and, you know, certainly, if the $1,400 in furniture for a different building won't be included in this motion because it's for furniture for the treatment facility, the Isabel Road treatment facility. That's my point. That we have faith in that we'll only pay for what we buy, and we'll only buy what we need.
I mean, do you have different numbers that I could look
I
at?
can maybe walk through, because if you look at the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
because there's a filing cabinet on the spreadsheet.
Yes.
That's not in here because we need 4 of them, not
Correct.
3, keep it 3. So I put another one on there because there's gonna be 4 left in this back office. So maybe I can, if you wanna take the moment, and I can try to go through this real quick so you can
Yeah.
see.
I mean, just so my numbers add up. I mean, because mine's way off.
And
I mean,
do think
I
that
don't- I mean, or you can just
did
show me where you
maybe
took it
we
off.
didn't add the laminate in,
Right.
the upgraded laminate,
Right.
but.
I even added that into mine, and I'm still only at 12,000.
I mean, I agree with what Phil's saying in terms of, you know, we can still make a vote in terms of furnishings for this particular project since we're right there. But I think then we need to also have the other part of it, a discussion as to, this seems to be real concerned about either the overruns, you know, what we did originally vote to approve, and what the final costs are. Maybe that would be worth a discussion too. But maybe it would help if we had some more clarity. I mean, I've always been more comfortable when I know what the number is, you know.
Or make it up to the amount of.
I think it's,
Well,
I
and-
think it's
and-
really difficult on these bids to go through them and compare because it's,
Yeah.
you know, there's like some that have more chairs, less chairs. So I was questioning whether there was a spec on this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just weird. And then you got this one that's
You're
got these
being
10
asked
chairs.
to
and-
purchase the furniture as indicated on page 35 of your agenda packet, in the counts that are indicated there, at the dollar amounts indicated there, acknowledging the $450 difference, which we apologize for on the upcharge. That would make the custom office systems $13,962 for desks, chairs, file cabinets, as outlined on page 35. There are 3 bids presented there. The furniture is not identical in terms of manufacture between all 3, but the specs that were communicated were for a certain type and functionality of office equipment. So we feel the bids are similar, and our recommendation is to proceed. It's up to the board. There is a motion on the table.
If I can just.
Right, and we can't proceed until we take care of the
Yeah.
motion,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
I would feel more comfortable if we took the number less the $1,400 on the 10 chairs that weren't supposed to be in there, which would bring the total to $12,562.
If you add up on the spreadsheet, that 13,512 is right in terms of if you add up those figures alone, okay? Based on not counting the 1,400 for the chairs and that. If, though, you have to add in the 2 laminates that weren't accounted for, that'd be the additional 450, and that's where you come up with the 13,962. Now, on the spreadsheet, though, the 1,400 is not included in that 13,512 figure. Is that right? Okay. So then, if that's the case, and I believe that the number I have would be the right number, but you're coming up with something different.
I
So I'm
got
not-
something completely
yeah.
different.
So that's.
I added each one of these sheets.
You got more like me, Lisa, but you
Mine's
got one of
1,200 and
those
something.
pages that's $40 off.
Correct, there's a
Yeah.
$40 differential.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically
Yeah.
you take 12,562 plus the 40, you'd be 12,602,
That's what I.
is what I've got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just, yeah, okay, so what did I do wrong?
I'm adding, maybe you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not
I'd-
so,
so
you know,
if
maybe
the-
you're right. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
If the
Well-
motion were amended to accommodate that total, then I would be willing to.
How about if we made the motion not to exceed either the 13,962,
That's-
that would be the high, not to exceed
Yeah,
that.
that's essentially what we're doing with this, is saying
We're
not
not
to
going any
exceed.
higher, but.
Not going higher, which then accounts for the, if there's a difference in that $40, at least is fine, I see that too, that you're suggesting, and the 1,400, that is or isn't included in this.
Well, it's included in the bid.
Correct.
And it's included in the number on the spreadsheet, so the actual number less the chairs would be $1,400 less.
Okay, right.
So-
So if we were to have a cap of the 13,962, which is the high that is one number we've come up with, nothing to exceed that, which allows then for the,
That's 2,000 more than what I came up with.
no,
But
That's more than what the bid is.
what we're actually voting on is,
It's
we're
450.
voting for trying to get, you know, they've recommended custom office systems in the amount of not to exceed that amount.
Right.
We're saying, okay, yes, we approve this, not to exceed $13,962. That's what we're trying to get. They're gonna do everything they can to get the
Exactly.
costs way down, or, you know, as far down as they can. We have to trust that they know what we want. They know that we want
I added
this
the
to
language in
not
my totals and I
cost
still
any
got-
more than what
12,602.
it has to. And we just need to trust that they'll be able to figure that out. But do we want to get this from
It's-
custom office systems not to exceed that dollar amount, is what we want to look at.
It was brought to us, and so you would assume that it was vetted, it should have been added together. I did it in my head, just looking at the 3 pages and then pulled out the calculator. So it was really a kind of a silly mistake to make, but it should have been caught before it got to this far. And I'm not willing to approve with a project that has already a lot of cost overruns, another cost overrun over what is actually in the quote. So if someone were willing to take the $1,400 off that total and make it, I'd even go 13, but I'm not gonna go 13.9.
where you go 1310?
No.
I'll go 12,602,
Well,
because that's what I got.
regardless, what we're being asked to approve tonight is still 35% over what was originally budgeted, or what was originally estimated.
For the 10,000 originally,
Right.
you're saying.
So,
Yeah. I think the other thing is that we have a project that's completed and unfurnished. And so in order for them to have occupancy, we do need furniture. So, I mean, for us to keep on delaying that, that's a part I'm concerned about. But I do agree that we need to have a cap that we're all comfortable with.
I mean, you can go to
Well,
Staples
according
and
to
get
the
a chair
quote,
for under $300.
12,602 is basically everything less the $1,400 for the 10 chairs in the small conference room.
May I?
Yes, sir.
The recommendation is, from my perspective, is $450 off. In the memo, it explains why the original estimate of $10,000 has become $13,512, because that included the purchase of 4 additional lateral file cabinets that we originally thought we'd be moving, but we're not. And so that's what that is about. You know, we've sat around here, or you've sat around here, 6 different people trying to add up all these numbers. I went through it as well. I understand it's confusing. It is not our intent, and I do not believe these numbers include the purchase of 10 chairs similar to what you're sitting in. that we need to replace for the small conference room and the back room in the offices to be included in this project. I don't believe they are in this bid. That's all I have to say about that.
I call the question.
All right.
What was the original?
I don't even know.
What was, so the motion was for what amount?
13,962, I believe, was the original.
13,962?
It's 13,512.
I'm gonna say no on it. That's a higher amount than what it's even on the thing.
Yeah,
And I got
13,512
way lower
is,
than that.
Doesn't call
what's on
the
this
question
spreadsheet.
mean anything to you?
Yes, okay, so this would be on Phil's motion, and this would be to approve the expenditure of, I'm on the recommendations, 13,512, your recommendation was 13,9?
Well, 13,512.
13,512, all
No,
right.
it
so
was
this would be
13,
motion was
the
for
13,962.
962.
The
Yes.
motion was not to exceed 13,952.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, we will bring this up to vote, and this would be in favor of the action requested. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Aye.
So it's
So
3-3.
So
motion
3-3.
does carry. This would be.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does
Does
not.
not, it's 3-3.
It's
3-3.
3-3 tie. so
Okay,
it's
that's
on
right,
the
we
I
should
motion.
go.
said
It's-
you
Yep,
made
that's
it
right.
more.
Yep, Tim, go
I'm
ahead.
not agreeing to higher when it's my number's 1,000 less. Then that's fine.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the next meeting and there's more clarification.
I second that.
All right, so we do have a motion on the floor to table. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Was there any discussion of tabling it?
Mm.
You didn't ask that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I think we're all hung up on the discrepancy in the numbers, and I think rightfully so. That's part of our fiduciary responsibility. So, and there's different numbers floating around. So I think it's our due diligence that we, come back in 2 weeks, and we have an opportunity then to have this come up again, to be re-voted on, or reapproved again, but with numbers that now everyone that are congruent with what we were all thinking the number should be.
Is it going to hinder the project if we wait 2 weeks? If it is,
Yeah.
maybe we can do an online vote.
Yeah, I mean,
If
we
we have-
when
I
does
don't
this
think we
due?
can do
You can't do that.
Oh, we
It has to be
can't?
open
No.
meeting.
Mhm.
I mean, floor covering's not down yet. You're not gonna put furniture until floor covering's down. You're gonna take a few weeks, looks like, to get the laminate. What they're saying, what about
All right.
It'll delay
4 weeks.
approximately 2 weeks beyond the date that I indicated in my opening comment of early April, because the order will be placed hopefully 2 weeks later, depending on the action of the board at your next meeting.
All right. Any further discussion? And so Bill's motion on the table, and it was seconded by Norm, is to table this until more clarification is gained on the quotes themselves. So all in favor of Bill's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. And the reason I say no is we have nothing to table because we had the action, and the action was essentially no action due to a tie vote.
Okay.
So obviously, something will have to come back later to
Okay.
buy the furniture.
I saw it in terms of, and I know what you're saying with tabling, but I saw it more in terms that we're voting to have this on the agenda for in 2 weeks. That's what I'm
Okay, yeah, that's
saying.
what I...
Maybe that
okay.
should have
I
been
agree.
framed better.
All right, so that takes us on to item B. And this is going to be a proposal to provide wholesale sanitary sewer treatment and billing services to Nottawa Township.
Yes, thank you. There was a memo put at your seats for the meeting tonight, and I know I don't know if you'd had a chance to read it prior to the meeting or not, but what we've done is utilize the services of a firm, Utility Financial Solutions. They are the firm that's been working with the system on the joint water study with Mount Pleasant, so they were in possession of a lot of the data that pertains to our wastewater and water systems both. This is a firm that specializes in utility cost of service studies, rate design, and system financial analysis. So what we were being asked to do by Nottawa was to develop a proposal to present them as to what we would charge to treat the sewage that they would be delivering to our treatment plant. They'd be considered a wholesale customer. We do not currently have any wholesale customers. All our customers are retail in nature. And so designing a wholesale rate was a little bit new to us. So we did want to take the advantage of some professionals in the development of this. The method used in developing the rate is what's referred to as a utility method. That's opposed to a cash basis method. You'll often see either of those being used. The utility method is a more complete method. It takes into account the full accrual that goes on with, this is an enterprise fund, so its accounting method is a full accrual method of accounting as compared to, say, the parks operation, which is a modified accrual, and other funds are actually cash accrual. This utility method is incorporates all the an allocation of expenses that are incurred to treat the sewage. It includes expenses related to depreciation of the equipment that's used, and that gets into the full accrual method. It takes into account the interest expense that we pay on the debt that is outstanding on the system, and it allows for a rate of return on the owner's equity. And if you think about it, the citizens of the township have paid for this plant and equipment, and they are entitled, should be entitled to a return on that investment. So it takes into account of that as well, and part of that return then is charged to wholesale customers that don't have any ownership in the system. And so based on the volumes that were supplied by Nottawa, which I believe are 32.5 million gallons a year, the rate that we are proposing to make part of the proposal to Nottawa Township is $5.17 per 1,000 gallons of received sewage. The Nottawa also asked for a proposal as it related to some administrative and billing components. The charges for those services are on the second page of your memo. There's one-time setup that we would need to do on their behalf. There are other quarterly charges per billings that are listed here, charges for delinquent lien notices that would be sent out on an annual basis. These are services that were discussed with Nottawa Township. What is not included are your more, I'll describe them as customer service related, phone calls that would come in from their customers. Those, it was indicated those would be handled by staff at Nottawa Township. The treatment, we estimate the expenses to be that we would need to recoup. As I outlined previously, the types of expenses are $168,500, and to recoup those expenses based on those volumes, need a rate of $5.17 per 1,000 gallons. And on the administrative / billing side, Those costs are outlined as I said, on the second page. That's expected conservatively to generate revenue of $5,850, which we believe would also cover our expenses to provide that service. This proposal would be presented to Nottawa Township in memo form in the coming days, as early as tomorrow. But I did want to take an opportunity to let the board see the proposal that would be going out, understand how it was developed, and answer any questions you may have.
Mark, who's going to be doing the service on the, would they be hiring somebody to handle the service calls on? Or would that something that with this we would be handling that?
The maintenance of their system?
The maintenance,
their collection system?
If there was like a broken main or whatever, is that something that we would?
No.
And so that's their
responsibility.
Okay, so we don't really have any additional employees that we would need to employ to handle the outlying. Not under the service request that they've described. Gotcha. And you can look at it maybe this way will help. Mm-hmm. They will build and own a collection system that will exist within the geographic area of the service area, and we will not have anything to do with that. Okay. We will not be involved in the maintenance of it under this proposal, and per their discussions that they would be handling those types of things. Okay. They would also be then responsible for building and paying for and maintaining the transmission line that will get from that piece of geography to our main on Mission Road. Okay. That would all be their responsibility. What would exist at the intersection of those two pipes is what I refer to as a master meter that then would meter the flow coming in from that wholesale customer. Okay.
I have a question. When is the last time someone from Nottawa Township been contacted by us?
I'm sorry?
When is the last time someone from Union Township, Corey Medell, when's the last time Corey was contacted by us?
I'd have to get the exact date, but I know there has been a communication
2.5 months ago.
Email.
He told me today. He hasn't heard anything from anybody here in 2.5 months.
That's not right. I could present you with an email that we sent. I don't believe we ever got a response back, but we initiated communication.
I guess. I talked to him today, and he said it's been 2.5 months. I think we're barking up the wrong tree because I think it's too late for this whole thing because we did not communicate with them. And I'm telling you right from the horse's mouth, I see this guy every day. We have not communicated with them. He told me the last communication we had with them was just after Thanksgiving. He said it's pathetic, 2.5 months not to get in touch with him.
Well, that would be about 3 months.
Well, whatever.
And
I don't know. I'm just telling you what he said. We're wasting our time.
If you'd like, I can distribute the email we sent to the principals at the township along with their engineers. I can send you that in an email tomorrow.
Please do it, because he said to me, I see the guy about every day. He's had discussions with me on this, and he just said that he just can't believe that we've taken so long to get back with them. Just disgusts me.
Yeah. I think this looks good. As far as I know, looks good to me.
Well, let's.
I think it's a well-written
Yeah.
proposal, don't get me wrong, I do, but I think we should communicate with them a little more.
Well, Trustee Houck, we have. And I will demonstrate that to you tomorrow. Okay. Whether or not the recipient read it, chose to respond. We asked the question at the conclusion of the communication to let us know if the time frame that was described in that communication was in any way detrimental to their moving forward. And we I don't believe we received any response back. And so
Last
that is
Monday,
taken
we had to
as-
meet with the USDA and had no response from us. He had a meeting at 10 o'clock last Monday with the USDA. from
what they're
told
doing
me.
currently with the USDA is not dependent on receiving this proposal.
I don't wanna
And that's
get in
one
an
of the
argument.
questions
I'm
we
not going
asked
to get
in
in an
the
argument
email.
with this. I'm just telling you what he said. And
Well, I'm just
I guess.
telling you what your township manager says.
Well, that's good.
All right, so we'll move out of new business, and we're gonna hop, skip, and jump over to extended public comment.
But may I, before you jump out, I mean,
I don't know. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I recognize that this is, as Lisa said, looks like a good proposal. Bill, you said the same
Yeah,
thing.
it does. It looks good.
It looks like a good proposal.
I'm just concerned
These preparation of these things takes time. Holidays, always get in the way of so many things. And probably one of the most important things that I see about this proposal is that it is done within the parameters of generally and professionally accepted methods, that being the Public Service Commission and utility financial solutions experts in the field. And it really looks out for our citizens.
Yeah.
And our taxpayers who own the system. And looks like a very reasonable rate as well. Thank you, Ben.
You're very
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
And also, we look at our ends goals, and one of those is community well-being, right? Health and welfare. And so, obviously offering this service to Nottawa Township, whether they accept it or not, is something that's important to keep our river clean.
Yep.
How many times last year did we see that the Chippewa River was unusable because of E. coli, right? Which, by the way, I see a lot of communities now are dealing with the tubing thing now too. So that's a big thing, and a lot of Michigan communities are banning that. So,
I failed to also add that this proposal will form the basis, I believe, of additional discussions. If anything were to come to fruition from those discussions, it would end in a service contract, would be my guess. Not anything ordinance-wise, but a long-term service contract that would be the result of negotiation between the parties and ultimate approval by this body.
all right. Any more discussion on this at all? Okay, now we can hop, skip, and jump over to public comment. And this is going to be 5 minutes regarding any issue. This is an opportunity for comments only. Questions to the board will not be answered at this time. Would anybody like to come forward? Anybody out in the hallway? I don't see anybody. Anybody in the room? No. So we're going to go once, going twice, close public comment, and move to item 12, which should be manager's comments. Mark?
Yes, thank you. Just a reminder that we've scheduled the annual meeting with the Road Commission to be held on March 6th at 3 p.m. Also, I am scheduled to be out of the office next week. This is just a reminder. I've brought this up before. Sherry Teal, the finance director, will be the acting township manager while I am out of the area. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And that brings us to item 13, the final board comment. We'll swing it from the clockwise side of the room and start with Norm.
I have nothing for tonight. I'm good.
Lisa?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that road commission meeting. I get out of work at 3. But I will try.
Okay.
They go a couple hours.
Okay, so I'll be late.
Coming late.
We'll get you updated. Phil? I'm gonna hop over to you.
You're hopping around a lot.
I know.
Got it in my calendar.
It's a good word.
Easter's coming shortly.
It's exactly. It's a
So
good
I always
word.
think of
Easter's
hopping when
coming.
it gets close to, within a couple months of Easter, I'm always thinking, you know, bunnies and hopping. As I'm looking at my bushes getting eaten up in my front yard from all the snow, then I think of hopping too.
And I think of the rabbit tracks and the hopping tracks I see in the snow, and that's one reason I love all the snow we're getting. And those are my comments for tonight.
Bill?
I must be on a roll tonight, but I'm not too happy about what we did at our last meeting, and I just wondered what the sentiment would be with the rest of the board members that weren't here. There were only 4 of us at our last meeting. We agreed to purchase a new fire truck. The bid on that was $447,454. Or we could pay an upfront fee or price of $433,000, save $14,500. Approximately $14,500. Well, I know we weren't all real happy about doing it, but we wanted to get the fire truck ordered. So if all 7 of us would have been here, I'm wondering if we would have taken the upfront discount of $433,000 and saved just say $14,454. I know that I talked to Paul Loria, the public safety director. He was shocked that we didn't take the paid in full discount. He told me Nancy Ridley, the city manager, was shocked that we didn't take it. Apparently they bought 2 or 3 fire trucks from this company and hauled fire equipment, and they paid them up front every time and had no problems. So I just want to let that be known that I think if we all would have been here, I'm just wondering if we would have saved the $14,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little disconcerted on that whole thing too, because I kind of felt the way it was written, to be frank with you, I felt like to not agree with delaying it for 9 months, you had to fight your way out of the corner on that decision. I would have much rather taken the discount. Personally, we've been budgeting this now since, what, 2017? It's a year actually after the fact since we had the money budgeted. I don't see what we gain. They was a reputable manufacturer. The city had always paid up front. I asked him during the meeting, the fire chief and the public service director were in the audience. I don't know what kind of leverage, which was supposedly the reasoning, I don't know what kind of leverage you really gain. You have a contract and you have a delivery date. But I also don't understand is in the contract itself that there was nothing stated on our agenda that talked about a down payment. I can't fathom that this manufacturer is going to build a $450,000 truck without something up front, and I don't get that either. I kind of felt that if we would have had all 7, like Bill said, I think that maybe we would have had a more productive discussion and might have come up with a different conclusion. I don't know where we're at, if we've signed that agreement, if we can make a motion since it is timely, it's the first business meeting after that last one, if we can make a motion to reconsider on that or not. But it would be nice to get more input, because, Phil, were you there?
No, I was ill and I couldn't attend the meeting.
And then
Norm.
Kim, you weren't there, right?
No, I was.
And Norm wasn't either.
And we wanted to approve it, that's why we all agreed
Yeah.
to it. 'Cause, you know, I mean, we budgeted $478,000 for it. And, you know, you didn't want to tell them, no, we're not going to approve it. But $14,500 is $14,500.
See, I
Pays
would
for the office furniture over at the,
And see, I would have preferred to have had,
Yeah.
in
Approve
the,
that
on
right
the
away.
agenda item itself on something like that, my preference would have been option A and option B, and allow us to determine, but I really felt that the way it was written, it was basically option A. And you had to kind of really justify or make an argument why you didn't feel that that was appropriate, but, so I would have preferred to have it written differently. Yes, sir.
Help me out here.
Yes.
Why are we looking through the rear view mirror?
It's $14,000.
$14,000.
Jeez, let's go.
You guys approved it.
Because I think there were only 4 of us here. We didn't want to tell them we didn't want the truck. I mean, they walked out in the hallway out here. I talked to Paul the next day. They walked out in the hallway and they were in disbelief that we didn't take the discount. The 2 firemen and then the public safety director. I mean, $14,000 is $14,000 that we could have saved. I mean,
It's not like we didn't have the money. I mean, we had the money.
Right,
And he held it for a year. So.
$478,000 for it.
Mark, is it even possible to do that?
I'm sorry.
Is it even possible to do that?
I don't know, I'm
Right.
just getting upset. It's ridiculous.
I mean, instead of us talking about it, I mean, if it's not even possible, why even talk about it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, what the board talks about is up to the board. The, I will say that the contract has been signed. The board approved the contract after discussion. It was 4-0. It was a valid motion. It was a valid vote. There was, I acknowledge, a lot of discussion on the discount, and I explained at the time the rationale for the recommendation, and to not take advantage of the discount ultimately is up to the board. You voted as you did. If there would have been a required down payment, it would have been mentioned in the memo, and verbally that question was asked, and there is no down payment. So that's just repeating what we said at the meeting. Payments due in full at the time of delivery. So.
I was just asking, no reason talking about it if we can't change it. You know what I mean?
I know, whatever, I just,
No,
I'm
I think
totally
that
amazed
this,
while we waste money.
This is an opportunity for everybody to speak. And then the last thing on, Bill, you all set?
Yep.
Okay, Kim?
Just taxes. Get them in.
Okay.
Yay.
Till midnight tomorrow. Actually, till
Well,
like,
Probably,
till
probably like,
7:59 in the
probably
morning.
like, yeah. And
Thursday.
8:15. or, well, Jennifer sometimes gets here early, so, you know, she may pull those out just a few minutes sooner, so, you know. 8:15. So, just, or go online before that, so. That's it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I don't want to drag the meeting out much longer, but what's the delivery date for the fire truck? I mean, is it 2 months from now, 6 months from
It's like
now?
in 9
I think
months.
is what they said.
What?
I think it said 9.
9 what?
9 months.
9
I
months?
thought they said September.
9 months.
Yeah.
3/4 of a
We
year.
anticipated before year end, but
Okay.
the order was placed the day after the board meeting approved the purchase, and that was January. So we're anticipating delivery in 2019.
Great. Thank you.
If I can just say, just to, sum it up from what I'm hearing is that, when we have discussions like this, that I think are prudent discussions and important for people to express, if they see that they disagree with the way there's a process or should be done different. I just see that as perhaps we can all learn from that. I mean, what I heard was that perhaps we need to look at perhaps some of our, the way we're estimating costs to avoid some of the cost overruns, or how the bidding gets done is one issue. Another issue had to do with our timely correspondence in matters such as, say, like Nottawa, and Mark's going to, confirm, how that was done. But again, that's certainly essential that we continue to be timely in our interactions with other community, people. ways of cutting costs. I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, the one thing when you say $14,500, that's a gravel road, you know, if you look at it that way, you know. So, you know, I think what we should take out of this is not that we're arguing or we're disputing. Perhaps take it as a learning as to how we continue to improve our operation, because there's always room for improvement for all of us and for the operation itself. So I just hear some things here that perhaps can be done differently, you know, in terms of how we estimate the costs, in terms of how the bidding is done, the timeliness in terms of how we intervene, if we could reduce costs somehow. I mean, those are all legitimate issues because, and Bill, you're real good at that because you know, as a business owner, you really have that hands-on overlooking the, you know, the dollars and cents. And so maybe it's just, you know, at some point, maybe just a discussion about how we can improve the operation in general, you know, for all of us. And I think that's what I got out of tonight, you know.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Well, I never had a chance to make a final board comment.
Okay.
I was going to say something, but
All right,
I don't know. Maybe I won't. Well, maybe I will. Let me think about it for a minute.
You want about
Bill, do you have your hat?
You want 5 minutes to think about
Bill
it?
didn't bring a hat, so we're kind of, you know, messed up on that one.
I got one.
He hasn't
There
for a
you go.
while.
There we go. We got a hat.
We got a hat.
So,
We got a hat.
okay, we donned the cap, so we do have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Well, who seconded
Okay.
it?
I second.
Okay, just making sure.
Good.
Adjourned.
Sorry.
8:26 p.m.
You're welcome.
She'll only be 20 minutes.
So if you catch any typos, feel free to let me know so I can